We will now recognize a highly accomplished alumnus of the UF College of Engineering, Dr. James Allchin, who has been recognized with the honor of the UF Distinguished Alumnus Award this year for excellence in his chosen field and outstanding service to the university. I call upon Dr. Paul Gator, Chair of the Department of Computer and Information Science and Engineering, to introduce Dr. Allchin. We have asked Dr. Allchin to provide a brief message to our graduates after his introduction. Paul?
Dr. James Allchin has embodied the attributes of the new engineer since the 1970s. He is a leader. His path began as a youth, living in the Florida orange groves, and brought him to a peak as a senior leadership at Microsoft, working with Bill Gates and others. His responsibilities included software that almost everyone on the planet knows about, the Windows operating system. He's technically excellent and creative. He's a prolific programmer. He has written operating systems, compilers, file systems, network software, and many others. Like many students these days, he worked in a startup after receiving his Bachelor of Science here in Computer and Information Science at UF in 1973, which was the first graduating class in that area. He completed his education by earning an MS degree from Stanford University in 1980 and a PhD from Georgia Tech in 83. He then became one of the first employees at another startup called Banyan Systems that became very successful. And he was responsible for developing Banyan's innovative distributive operating system, which was called Vines. And Vines could then manage networks of computers. So after that, he then brought his vision of future operating systems to Microsoft. He operates with integrity. He demonstrated commitment to the customers during difficult times at Microsoft. He also gracefully retired from Microsoft, allowing the company to have a smooth transition to a new leadership. He engages in global service, supporting education in Africa and the U.S., marine environments in Indonesia and the Pacific Northwest, and abundant clean water. And finally, Dr. Allchin has diverse interests and is a natural lifelong learner. He loves coding and computer science, and he loves discrete math, those of you computer science students out there, and he loves music. He played rock and roll guitar here in Gainesville about the same time that Tom Petty was grooming his skills here. He pursued a career in music after retiring from Microsoft. He wrote, performed, and produced two well-acclaimed albums, Overclocked and QED, both of which are available on iTunes. And they're recognized as top 10 blues albums. His guitar style has been described as combining technique, tone, and emotion. I believe that the passion that is evident in his music is at the core of his remarkable career. I'm truly inspired by his life, and I'm very eager to hear what he has to say. Please welcome our distinguished alumnus, Dr. James Allchin.
Thank you, Dr. Gator, and thank you, Dean Abernathy. So I'm very honored to be here today at your commencement at this outstanding engineering university. This is when you make noise. The truth is, this is the closest I've ever got to a commencement. I didn't attend my undergraduate commencement, nor neither of my graduate degree commencements. I was too focused on the next big thing and sort of ignored celebrating the journey. It wasn't one of my best decisions, so today is even more special for me. I wanted to share 3 stories with you. one about love, one about dreaming, and one about focus. My first story is about love. Neither of my parents went to college, but it was super assumed that both my brother and I would go. My father was a small farmer in Central Florida, and I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do other than I didn't want to farm anymore. I didn't really have a role model, but right before high school graduation, someone said to me, "Jimmy, you're really good in math and science and you like to build things. You should be an engineer." So I came here to engineering. Unfortunately, I either skipped or wandered through many of my courses. I was uninspired. I even dropped out to play music full time. I was on a path to obtain an electrical engineering degree, but I just wasn't super excited until I took my first programming course, analog computer programming at that. And when that happened, everything changed. I was in love. I excelled. I put my whole self into it. And it was a turning point for me, and I thank the University of Florida for this. Now, you may be luckier than I was, and you may already know what your passion is, but I caution you to be watchful. Because partway into my career, after I had started a company, I'd made reasonable money, I shocked everybody by saying, "I'm giving it all up, I'm going back to school," because I found I wasn't happy again. And if you're not in love, that's a problem. And I trusted my gut that everything would work out in the end. And it did. So I encourage you to reevaluate constantly. Or perhaps you aren't sure whether you've really found your passion. And if you aren't sure, you probably haven't found it yet, because you'll know. But it's okay. Keep looking, keep experimenting, and don't settle until you find love. Don't base your career on money, power, or the easy path. Base it on love. You should follow your instincts. You can't guarantee any career will give you those attributes. But if you're in love, then it's all going to work out, and you'll be happy no matter what. My second story is about dreaming. When I joined Microsoft, the core mission I had was to build a server and networking business. And there basically wasn't one at Microsoft when I joined. It may seem obvious now, but in the 80s and very early 90s, there were almost exclusively mainframes and mini-computers, very few PC servers. And asking a bank in New York to run their trading floor or their MIS organization on a PC, much less using Microsoft software on it, created the biggest laugh in the room. But I had a dream. When we were building NT, the Core OS technology still in use today, I would go to Manhattan and I'd ask for meetings with the MIS managers throughout Wall Street. They would say, "What? How many times do you want us to reboot our servers? With this three-fingered salute?" Needless to say, Microsoft's early reputation on the client made the dream seem pretty hopeless. But release after release, year after year, we persisted. The challenges were huge, but one after another, we overcame them. Today, the server business is one of the most profitable businesses at Microsoft, and as a standalone entity, it's a business to be envied. Microsoft servers now run huge sections of banking and financial services around the world. If you don't dream big, then you can't change the world. And even if you don't achieve the success that you've dreamed of, you're going to learn an awful lot along the way. So dream big, and pursue the dream relentlessly. My last story is about focusing. I have a huge number of interests, as Dr. Gator just mentioned. That's a great thing, except when it isn't. Maybe it's like Doug the dog in the movie Up. Squirrel! I don't know. But through the years, as necessary, I have learned to be ruthless about focusing. I have programmed 36 hours, slept on the floor, gotten up, and done it again. I've changed my schedule from daytime to nighttime for months to get uninterrupted machine time and avoid distractions from people. I gave up TV decades ago because I prioritized other things being more important. These are all examples where I wanted to focus my most important and precious resource, my time. I am convinced nothing happens without incredible focus. For the computer geeks, it's about turning off interrupts. And it's very hard to do in today's world. If your startup's going to run out of money in a year, unless your customers are buying a product, then you must focus. There are many smart people in the world, but it takes more than IQ. It takes focus and execution. This point about focus and priority applies to life in general. In December 2002, I was diagnosed with cancer 1 week after my second child was born. As they say, the sight of the gallows clears one's mind. And if I had a natural inclination toward focusing before, my level of focus went to an entirely new level at that point. Every day I think about this, and I am ruthless, even more ruthless, about what I spend my time on. I encourage you to do the same. You have limited time. There isn't an undo. Make sure you use your time wisely. That's it. Find your love, dream, focus. Congratulations to all of you as you embark on the next part of your journey.
Jim, I want to thank you for sharing your thoughtful and wise words with our graduates. I now ask President Fox to step forward to present with me the Distinguished Alumnus Award in recognition of your roots in the College of Engineering, your distinguished career, your outstanding service to your profession, and providing all of us a model of the new engineer.
Jim, on behalf of the University of Florida, we are so proud and grateful that you've exhibited the values of this college and the values of this university in your profession. Congratulations.